we're coming to the end of the year. And that means usually when we come to the end of a year, we like to recap the year that was. One of the ways we do that is by picking our favorite examples of playing card projects from 2023. Now, I usually do a top 10 video. Back in the day, I used to do them more often than I do them lately. But I think this more conversational way is going to be a new and kind of fascinating way to kind of approach this topic. And we're going to have some visual aids here to show people what everyone's talking about. But I'm actually going to go first on this one. So we're going to do our top 3 decks of 2023. Each one of us is going to talk about their favorite kind of decks of the year, so to speak. So hold on. Let me bring that up real quick.
Good topic so far.
Yeah, I think so. And I think I love that when, folks at home kind of get involved and give their opinions on stuff. Actually, I'm going to let Chris H go first on this one. I'm sorry, Chris M. I'm going to let Chris M go first on this one.
Man, I get to go first a lot. That must be special. Yeah, super excited to talk through my top 3 picks for this year. And, I definitely spent a lot of time in my office looking through decks, analyzing. It's so hard to make these choices sometimes. But for me, I think the 3 decks I picked all have something unique and different about them that made them stand out to me. Something that got me excited or made me feel a certain way. As a collector, these things elicit an emotion, and these, I think, all did that for me in different ways. So my first pick for this year, not to kiss too much booty here for the Gentleman Wake, but the successor, the Monarch White edition specifically. Like, I've got to say, on this deck, it's just classy in every way. The white with the red, with the gold, with the gilding, with the metal sculpt as well around it. It's just a complete package. And to go back to the variant topic for a second, I think this deck absolutely showcases this had something cool and unique and different about it in every way that just absolutely made it stand out. So bravo to you, Omar, on this one.
Appreciate
and
that.
I know this wasn't even the premier deck in the series, but it's just a standout in every way for me.
I appreciate that. I'm always very humbled and super ecstatic to hear when people appreciate the stuff. And we did not plan this, guys, if you're watching at home.
I should also give a special shout out for Kevin Cantrell, who also did an amazing job on the artwork and design throughout. Like, Kevin,
absolutely
awesome job. Next up for me, is someone who I am definitely a fond collector of, and that is Third Way Industries, Giovanni, the Phantasma deck. So this is one that I think is unique and different, and I think goes a lot of different ways for different people. But in my opinion, this is the best use of blacklight I have ever seen in a deck. So you've got multiple editions that all make sense to me. But in this one, all of the cards were blank without a blacklight. And for me, that takes a lot of guts to put out a deck like that. But as you can see in the picture that's showing here now, even multiple colors of blacklight showcased
Very
throughout.
cool.
It, and just like goofy, unique, just completely Giovanni and completely Third Way Industries, very recognizable, but very distinct, and just absolutely was a home run in my opinion.
Yeah, and Gio's been kind of flirting with UV reactive inks for a while. He did back in the day. It was almost I remember he telling me it was an accident when he discovered that Lunatica that glowed in the dark, because he wanted very specific Pantone colors for the yellow and the orange that he used on those decks, and it was like this surprise to him that they were UV reactive. And that was the first deck of his that I ever reviewed on this channel, and I did this whole bit with the UV, and it looks so impressive when you see it kind of shining and bright, and it's just very eye-catching. And this is like, okay, he took that idea and he kind of ran with it. Like, what can I do that's different or special, and really bring it and make it my own, and he did a fantastic job with this.
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely one of those decks too that it's like when people come and look at my collection, I'm like, hey, check this one out.
Yeah, very cool.
And then my final pick for 2023 is a deck that is a new version of a deck that was previously out, and that's the 17th Kingdom Avant-Garde Edition. I think what Lorenzo did here with changing the tuck color and then adding the red edge to the deck just absolutely took already a cool concept with the cutout, with the unique shape, with the amazing artwork, and then just elevated it even further. And that's something difficult to do. He already had a home run and then just took it and in my opinion, made this one even more spectacular. So 17th Kingdom Avant-Garde as well.
So I'm curious, and this is interesting. Maybe I just discovered something about you. The decks that you picked all had some kind of innovative feature about them. The successor having the metal plate and the slipcase, the UV reactive inks and the shape of the 17th Kingdom. Is there a reason why you think that? Is that because that excites you? Like, hey, here's a medium that exists and it's existed for millions of years or hundreds of years at the very least, not millions, but hundreds of years, maybe even thousands. And it's still surprising you. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think, I've been collecting long enough now. And as we talked about, we get pickier over time. So when I see something that is new and different and gets me excited, it's like, oh, look at what this person did with this. Or how did you take something that's already so cool and make it even better? It's just, it's very impressive to me as a creative myself to see an artist take things and evolve it even further. And I believe all three of these decks did that.
Cool. All right. CH, what do you think?
Yeah. So, and again, we did not plan this, but I'm going to piggyback on the 17th Kingdom deck. I actually have. So there's the Avant-Garde deck. The thing I'm going to talk about related to that deck, which I think was, this is just Lorenzo, right? Lorenzo pays attention to every single detail. Everything matters. Right? And so the original one that he did the year before was the experimental deck, right? That was done. I think this was all done by WJPC, the cards and the tuck box. And you can see that when the cellophane was added, it added a little bit of not much, but a little bit of a buckle on the tuck box. It also had a different closure in the center. I don't know if you can see the little half moon sort of in the middle there. So he took that, right, released it and said, I can do better. So that's when he came up with this version, which I think is fantastic. He cut the corners off here so that resolves the buckle issue on the tuck. He also changed the way the tuck closes. It's just all brilliant. It's very well thought out. You can go back to some of maybe was it Parlor, the cool brick box, right? Is that the one, right? That was the Parlor.
Yeah, Parlor.
That was the cool. All that was so well designed and thought out.
We're talking about one of the best, right? Like this guy is. And we have plans for some top designer topics that we'll revisit in a future episode. But there's no doubt the guy, he's brilliant, and he's a perfect example of an artist who innovates and iterates in the right way, like you mentioned. Chris, like 100%. The ability to kind of revisit something and make it better with a subsequent. And he's done it with Oddfellows too, which is another ongoing. And I think he's going to do it with one of my picks, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But he's really really good at that. Like that's something that he's just very, very good at.
He is very good at it. He's always a step ahead. Or 3 steps ahead, right?
Yeah.
So what you'll see in all of my best decks of 2023 is it's all about the boxes for me. So court cards and custom face cards, but I like boxes. So number 2 on my list is the Arc Halidom deck. This is the classic box set. I don't know if
that's going to put it on the same plane as your face there. Yep, there you go.
There we go. Does that work?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah,
I like to see that, but it's really cool. It's a sort of a multi-dimensional box. Each of the decks are each of the tucks are multi-dimensional. This is supposed to represent the gates to heaven. As you look into the angels, it's really fantastic. The artwork is really great there.
I have some of their illusionist deck, which is beautiful. It was a very similar kind of construction.
Yeah, the illusionist decks are great. These are fantastic. they got a new campaign out or just funded as well.
Yeah.
Which is also beautiful, really innovative folding tucks and things like that. We'll have to talk about that another day, but it's
Sure.
really cool. So then the last and third for 2023, and again, we didn't plan this, but I do have this sitting next to me, and it's pretty heavy. And it is this giant
The sarcophagus.
It's all about the box, And I'll be honest with you, Omar, I was skeptical that you were going to be able to pull that off.
I appreciate that.
Very impressive.
Thank you, man.
You did, man. How much does this weigh?
It weighs like 6 pounds, fully like packed. Yeah, it's not insignificant,
You can't talk about 2023 without talking about that one. I mean,
I appreciate that. I honestly that particular box was like a labor of love and the most stressful thing I've ever done as a producer. And it's very expensive to kind of work through, and I'm very happy that you guys appreciate it, and I thank you for that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I am not going to pick one of my own decks for the list because obviously that would be lame. These guys have already given me enough flowers, which I really appreciate. So thank you again for that, guys. I think that's very cool of you.
Well, if you did a bad job, we would give you a hard time too. So
that's true, or you wouldn't just say anything at all, I guess. I don't know.
We'll talk about the worst decks of 2023.
I'm looking forward to that
up as a subject, but I don't want to rag on it.
No, we won't do that. We won't do that.
All right, so one of my favorite decks of the year, again, I've talked about him ad nauseum, is Lorenzo Gagiotti, and this particular deck, the Black Requiem deck, especially the one here with the metal insert on the. I mean, it is just
such a cool deck.
It is such a cool deck. Let me bring this full screen here, so that folks at home can see what a cool. Look at that tuck box, man. I mean, number one, the tuck box is beautiful. It's Bosquero and Newton. They did a fantastic job, and he had this metal plate with the enamel lacquer, in white, and the cut out windows so you can see the gilded edges inside. He's got this beautiful like mandala pattern on the top. It's signed and numbered by him. I mean, it's just a beautiful presentation, all around gorgeous example of what a playing card deck can look like, and he's just done a beautiful job. And then the cards inside are fantastic. Again, with some the gold borders is something I love. I do it on my decks all the time, and I think it's worth doing. And it's a beautiful thing, and it just looks gorgeous. And it's got this amazing artwork. I wouldn't say it's not my favorite deck of the year because there's a lot of revisitation with this deck of the previous Requiem deck. So it wouldn't be fair to something that's wholly original to put this at the very top, but it is absolutely a beautiful deck. And I think he really nailed it and he killed it with this design and really a worthy piece to any collection as far as I'm concerned.
That is one of my favorite cards of all time.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely, John saying Lorenzo doesn't miss. Yeah, he doesn't. He is just really good. And Kenny also agreeing, a lot of people agreeing with me because it's just hard to disagree with that, right? Like he's awesome.
Yeah.
So that is definitely on my list. The other one is this deck. This deck is the Cross campaign, the Cross decks by an artist that I think is up and coming. Somebody who I really think is going to start getting people's attention, and that's Peter Voth. And Peter has done a really phenomenal job. I normally, obviously, religious themes kind of factor in a lot with playing cards. I don't particularly collect religiously themed decks. It's not something that I tend to gravitate towards. But I understand the traditional aspects of it, and obviously the monarchy and royalty have a lot of religious, undertones and whatnot. But he's done just a really interesting thing with this deck, where there's this combination of traditional and yet there's modern. You've got like Martin Luther King, being represented, but done in this kind of just beautiful, just illustrative way. He's done such a good job with this deck, and I am very impressed by what he gave me here with this deck. And I think people are going to start. We are going to start seeing a lot of decks by Peter Voth coming to light. because he's just a very talented artist. He's from Germany, and he hasn't had a lot of decks to date, but he will very shortly. I think there's going to be an explosion of Peter Voth coming in. I think people are really going to start knowing that name as a household name.
I believe all of the courts are martyrs.
Yeah, that's amazing to me. Yeah, that's absolutely amazing to me. That's very, very cool. And just brilliant, just really well done. I have nothing ill to say about these. These are fantastic. All right. And then the last one on my list, here's another one. Just beautiful. Last one on my list, the Ace. They're all great. Last one on my list is Vivid Kingdoms. So Vivid Kingdoms is a deck by 1000. 1000 is a YouTuber and an artist, and there's so much to admire about 1000 and what he does as a creator. Number one, he's insanely gifted as an artist. He's just a brilliant designer. He does these beautiful murals. And if you haven't watched 1000's YouTube channel, you need to go as soon as this video is finished. You need to head on over there and check out 1000 and take a look at, number one, the videos are super high production value. He's got a team of people that he works with. They're super entertaining and fun and exciting, and he does like different things. And if you're an artist and you love art, or if you just you're a connoisseur of good design, then you are going to want to check out the 1000 YouTube channel, and also this deck, Vivid Kingdoms. And there's a couple of editions. They're both beautiful. But it really highlights his style. It's very different to what you would normally get from a top choice from me, particularly because you tend to gravitate towards more traditional or classic designs. But this particular deck is so well done, and also so successful. And I think that there's worth admiring. The first playing cards campaign to ever top $2 million on Kickstarter. It is a feat that will likely never be repeated, and that's a testament to his appeal, and also to the loyalty of his fan base, which they are ravenous. And
if you haven't watched his videos on the whole process, that's amazing as well. I mean, the number of uncut sheets he had to sign was like 10,000 uncut sheets or something. It's crazy.
No, it's really, really impressive. He's done a really fantastic job, and definitely worthy of being on the top 10 list of any deck campaigns this year. So let us know in a comment below, guys, what you think are your top 3 decks of the year and why, and if there's anything in particular that you want to highlight about any of those, and we will definitely circle back and check that out.